Every province and the federal government seem to be spilling red ink these days, but British Columbia under Premier David Eby tops the list with its record-breaking $13.3 billion deficit. Maintaining the strength of public finances shouldn't be a partisan issue. And, in fact, it isn't. Governments of all political stripes have run big deficits while others have paid down debt and run consistent surpluses. What sets BC apart today is not the existence of deficits, but their sheer scale. When the NDP took office in British Columbia in 2017 under late Premier John Horgan, public finances were, by and large, managed responsibly. Save for one deficit during the pandemic, the Horgan government posted surpluses every year it was in office, and arguably left the province's finances in even better shape than it had inherited. But all of that changed when Eby took office in November 2022. In 3.5 short years, Eby has turned surpluses into massive deficits. Credit downgrades have become the norm, and BC's debt is spiraling. On February 17th, Finance Minister Brenda tabled a budget with a jaw-dropping deficit of $13.3 billion, representing 16% of total government revenue. Even though Bailey announced income tax hikes and a temporary end to indexing income tax brackets, the Eby government plans to post the largest deficit in BC's history, and has no plans to come even close to balancing the books over the medium term. How did things get so out of hand? The short answer is that spending has exploded under Eby's watch. In Horgan's final budget, provincial spending stood at $69.7 billion. 4 years later, spending is now anticipated to hit $98.8 billion. That's a 42% jump in spending in just 4 years, or roughly 14% per year. Such a massive jump represents roughly 3 times the rate of inflation. The Eby government's record is the most egregious, but governments across Canada have been on a spending binge of late. There isn't a single government in Canada in office today that one can point to as an example of government restraint. Virtually every government is increasing government spending beyond the rate of inflation and plans to saddle future generations with mountains of debt. While the fiscal situation across the country, including in BC, may seem dire, there are lessons from Canada's past that point to solutions. The short answer to today's fiscal problems is that governments must cut spending. And no, that doesn't mean restraining the rate of spending growth. That means actual spending cuts. Consider the case of the Romano NDP government in the 1990s. Saskatchewan was facing a fiscal crisis and the province's finances were out of control. The government cut program spending by 14% over the course of 5 years. This allowed the government to get the province's fiscal house in order and get back to balanced budgets over the course of just 3 years. It also positioned the province for years of budget surpluses and paying down debt. The government had the courage to tackle Saskatchewan's looming debt crisis. This was done not through token gestures or modest reductions in the growth rate of spending, but through hard decisions and real spending cuts. Not every government in Canada today is facing a situation as dire as Saskatchewan was in the 1990s. But, to return to the BC example, deficits that represent 16% of government revenue are completely unsustainable and cannot be remedied without real spending cuts. Eby seems to be paying lip service to restraint, but BC's fiscal forecasts are nothing short of a nightmare, with double-digit deficits as far as the eye can see. Many other provinces aren't faring much better, and neither is the federal government. If Canada's governments don't want to return to the debt crisis of the 1990s, action must be taken today to protect tomorrow. And that means that politicians must have the courage to pursue real spending cuts.
Like, share, and subscribe if you appreciate this content.